Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to look at 16 ancient Indian philosophies, but not like you'd read in a textbook. We're going to treat them like different strategies for playing the great game of life. So let's just jump right in. What if life was a game? I mean, really think about it. In any complex game, right, there's never just one way to win. Some people go all out attack, others are super defensive, you've got your snipers, your close combat specialists. The goal might be the same, to win. But the paths to get there are totally different. And that's the exact lens we're going to use today to understand these ancient ideas. So let's start things off in what we'll call easy mode. Think of these as strategies for the casual player. Now, easy doesn't mean they're simple to master, not at all. But they are really beginner-friendly. They're easy to get your head around and just start with, which is probably why they're some of the most popular approaches out there. Okay, first up, Bhakti, the path of devotion. This is probably the most democratic strategy of them all. You don't need a PhD in philosophy for this one. The core mechanic is super simple. You surrender yourself completely to the game's creator. It's way less about your intellect and all about that pure, heartfelt connection. So how does this Bhakti strategy actually work? Well, players humanize the creator. They don't see some big, abstract force. They see a friend, a master, or even a lover. Emotion is your main tool. It's how you connect, how you ask for help. But, and this is a big but, there's a risk. Because it's so driven by emotion, it's pretty easy for new players to get corrupted. They can fall into cults or just get lost in all the theatrics. And there are a few other easy mode strategies worth mentioning. First, you've got the Puran strategy. This is for the ultimate lore nerd, the player who knows every single character's backstory inside and out. Then there's Smarta, which is kind of like the jack of all trades. It cherry picks the best parts of other philosophies and bundles them together. And finally, Karma Yoga. This is the just do it approach. Your goal is to just do your duty, perform your role, without getting all hung up on the rewards or your final score. All right, time to level up. Welcome to hard mode. These strategies, these are for the true geeks, the players who aren't happy just playing the game. No, they want to pop the hood open, understand the game's physics engine, and maybe even start tinkering with the code of reality itself. And here we see a couple of philosophies that are all about deconstruction. First, you've got Nyaya. This is the Sherlock Holmes of philosophy. It uses hardcore logic and deductive reasoning to figure out the very nature of truth. Its sibling school, Vaisheshika, is like a philosophical Minecraft. It's all about breaking the world down into its tiniest atomic parts. They called them parmanus, to see how the whole thing is built from the ground up. So if Vaisheshika is about taking things apart, Sankhya gives us the flowchart for how it all gets put together. It's like the game's creation story. It all starts when Purusha, or pure consciousness, meets Prakriti, which is matter. From that interaction, boom, buddhi, or intelligence, is born. That creates ahankar, or identity, the sense of I, and from there, the 23 tattvas pop into existence. These are the fundamental elements that make up our entire reality. It's a whole cosmic assembly line. And to round out our hard mode lineup, we have Mimamsa. Man, these are the purists, the most conservative intellectuals you can imagine. Their entire strategy is laser-focused on one thing, interpreting the game's original ancient rulebook, the Vedas. They've built these incredibly complex systems just to decode the hidden meanings behind all the rituals and hymns, because they believe every single answer is locked away in that original text. Okay, now we're going deep. We're venturing into the dark underbelly of the game. Welcome to hacker mode. This is where the conventional rules get challenged, bent, and sometimes just completely broken. If you thought hard mode was intense, well, you haven't seen anything yet. The first hack comes from a player who has a profound realization. The game is fundamentally rigged. The core mechanic isn't winning, it's suffering. Think about it. No matter how many points you score, the good feeling is temporary, right? But the pain of loss, that feels constant. So the only way to truly win is to stop playing. The hack is to let go of attachment, to just quit the main quest. It even suggests there might not be a player or a soul to begin with. Mind-blowing stuff. Now, Jainism offers a totally different but just as radical hack. It agrees that suffering is everywhere, but here's the twist. It sees suffering as a feature, not a bug. In this strategy, you actively embrace challenges and hardship. Why on earth would you do that? Because every single challenge you face is a chance to delete your negative karma points and purify your character. It's like grinding a super tough level over and over again, knowing that every time you fail, you're actually getting stronger. And then you have the Charvaks. the ultimate rebels. Their philosophy is just pure, unadulterated hedonism. Forget karma, forget the afterlife. For them, life is for enjoyment, right here, right now. This quote says it all. As long as you live, live happily. Drink ye, even if you have to borrow money. I mean, come on. These are the players who couldn't care less about the leaderboard. They're just here to enjoy the ride while it lasts. But maybe the most shocking hack of all is the Ajivika revelation. I want you to imagine this. You've been playing a game for days, weeks even. You feel like you've completely mastered it. And then you happen to look down and realize your controller has been unplugged the whole time. The game was on autoplay. That right there is the Ajivika view. Your choices, your skills, your free will, it's all an illusion. The entire outcome was predetermined from the second the game started. Just wow.
Well, if you're still with me, congratulations! You've made it to the final level, Advanced Mode. Now we're getting into concepts so profound they almost defy simple explanation. This is where that boundary between you, the player, and the game itself starts to completely dissolve.
And this brings us to Advaita Vedanta, which is arguably the finest philosophical achievement of this entire tradition. It's the ultimate realization, the final plot twist. You are not just a player in the game, you are the game. The player, all the other players, the world itself, it's all just one and the same consciousness, experiencing itself through all these infinite forms. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because there's a key distinction to make. Advaita Vedanta has a sibling school, Kashmir Shaivism, and while they both agree that ultimate reality is one, they see the universe very differently. For Advaita, the universe is Maya, an illusion that you have to overcome. But for Kashmir Shaivism, nope, the universe is a very real, creative playground for the divine. So the goal isn't to escape the game, but to realize that you have the power to shape. And to finish up Advanced Mode, we have two more paths. First, there's Tantra. This is a risky, high-level strategy. It uses what you could think of as forbidden code, mantras, sacred diagrams, even taboo rituals, to literally alter the fabric of reality. Then you've got yoga. Not just the stretching, but the whole philosophy. It's a systematic training process to level you up from a simple player all the way to the game's ultimate master, in a state they call samadhi. Okay, so after running through all of these modes, from the casual player all the way up to the game master, what does all this actually mean for you, for your custom strategy? Here's the most important thing to get, the key takeaway. None of these 16 strategies are mutually exclusive. Not at all. The real beauty of this whole tradition is its pluralism. It doesn't force you to pick just one path. Instead, it gives you a whole toolkit. If you're a more emotional person, try Bhakti. If you're super logical, Nyaya might be your thing. The whole point is to experiment, to mix and match, and to create your very own personalized strategy for the game of life. And that really brings us to the final question, which is the only one that truly matters. When you look at all these different approaches, from the devotee to the hacker, from the logician to the master of reality, it really just leaves us with one thing to reflect on. So, what's your strategy?